Hey crafters, thanks for joining me. In this video I'm going to make a card and a matching tag using soft autumn colors. Hope you enjoy. So I started with some Distress Oxides on a piece of paper that's 5 by 7 inches, which is the size of my finished card. And I used a scattered straw in the middle so that this would be the focal point of the scene. Next, I used some spice marmalade and I went around the scattered straw in sort of a rainbow shape here. And then I blended these two colors together. And I stuck with an autumn palette for this card and tag. So next I added some fired brick around the outside, again in this rainbow shape. And the bottom of the card I left blank because that's where the grass will be. And then after blending these two colors together, I added some brown on the outside. So this is the ground espresso, and I just blended this in the corners of the card there. Now my ink pad needs replacing, as you can tell, but it still does the trick here. And then for the bottom of the card, once those two are blended together, I'm going to add the grass, so I'm going to put some pine needles along the bottom. Now you could use this scene for your card and your tag, but I wanted the colors to soften a little bit. So after blending this pine needles into the background, what I did is I took another piece of paper, which is the same size, and I sprayed it completely with clean water. And then I took my original piece of paper with my ink blending and smushed this onto that card. And this water will cause the Distress Oxides to oxidate, which will give you this really lovely soft background. So after giving this a few moments to soak in, I'm going to remove it. I'll keep the top part for my tag and then use a bit of a paper towel just to blot off the excess water. And then I'll make sure this is completely dry with my heat tool. So I'm going to use one of my tags that I have in my stash. This is from Waffle Flower. It's the part of the nesting tag die. And I'm going to line it up where I'd like it to be. And then I can die cut it with my die cutting machine. This tag measures 4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. So now that this background is completely dry, I can start stamping on it. So using some VersaFine Clair ink in Acorn, I'm going to stamp one of the trees. This is the Tree of Hope from Lavinia Stamps. And I'm going to stamp this on the right hand side. It comes with 2 pieces in this set, but I'm just using the main tree. And then on the other side of the card, I'm going to stamp the Tree of Courage so that these 2 trees face each other. And again, I'm only using the main tree and not the tiny stamps that come with it. And I'm also going to use this Tree of Courage on the little tag as well. So using that same Acorn ink, I'm going to stamp it on the tag so that we have a matching tag and card. And I love how you can mimic the scene and make it smaller by using a tag to go with your card. Now I'm going to add some leaves, and I started with that same acorn ink. This is one of the Lavinia stamps. It's called the Mini Leaf number 5. And to do falling leaves, I'm just going to use my stamp cleaner to wipe off areas that I only have one single leaf falling down. Then I'm going to repeat this with different colors so that the trees are several different colors. And I'm making sure to add some to my tag as well. Now, some of the lighter colors are hard to stamp onto Distress Oxides. So when I get to the brighter colors, I'm going to stamp those more over the scattered straw ink rather than on the edges. And you'll see that in a moment. So this ink, which is called Summertime, is actually quite light. So I concentrated these leaves over the yellow area where the scattered straw is. And you can see it shows up a lot more on the tag as it's a brighter area. And then I went back with my acorn ink, just making sure to fill in those places. And then still using that acorn ink, I'm going to add a little bit of a fence. So there's a little stamp set called Gate and Fence that has 3 pieces in it. And I'm just going to put it on my tag first. I'm just using a little scrap of paper to make sure I don't stamp onto the tree itself. So that it looks like the fence goes behind the tree. And then I'm going to repeat this on my main scene on the card. And as I mentioned, there is a gate as well. So I'm going to stamp the fence on the left-hand side of the card here. And then use that scrap of paper so that I can stamp right next to that tree. So it looks like it goes behind the tree. And then I can add some more of that fence on the left-hand side behind the tree of courage. And I thought it would be nice to put the gate kind of off-center so that it's closer to the tree of hope there. Now I'm going to continue the fence on the right-hand side of this card. And if you notice, I have a bit of a gap between the gate and the fence. So the way that I fixed this, I'll show you in a moment there, is I'm just going to ink up that little bit of the fence and then line it up with the gap so that it looks like the fence is complete. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to continue the fence behind the trees as well. And I love when you have stamp sets like this that allow you to use your imagination and be a bit more creative. So the fence could be a bit wonky if you like, or you could make it shorter or longer. It's entirely up to you. Now, to go with my scene, I added some birds from the bird collection, and I did stamp one of them off camera, which is in the tree there. And I'm going to add a few more. So I'm using the Nocturne ink for these birds so that they really stand out. Otherwise, they kind of get lost in the scene. So I'm just deciding where I want my birds to go. And I decided that one of them would look good kind of sitting on the left side here. And I ended up using the 2 smallest birds in the stamp set. And then I put another one on the right-hand side here. And then using this smaller of those 2 birds, I added that onto our little tag as well. Now I wanted to make this into a thank you card, so I used a sentiment that says thank you and make a difference and walk your path, and I kind of cut them apart so that I took the you from walk your path and added it onto make a difference so that it says you make a difference. And these stickers sentiments are all from the sentiment sticker pack number 6. And then off camera I colored in the trees and the fence using some brown pencil crayons. And then lastly, to give this a bit of a sparkle, I used a bit of plastic wrap and I kind of arranged it in a long rectangle, and then I sprayed some of the Golden Temples mystical spray in there and then scrunched it up, and I used the plastic to kind of push it onto the bottom of my scene, just so that it's kind of rough and uneven and it kind of looks like golden leaves on the bottom of the scene. And then I dried this with my heat tool, and you can see that beautiful spray at the bottom, just gorgeous. And then I added in my sentiments, and I backed these on a bit of craft paper. So one says thank you, another says you make a difference. Those two will go on the card. And then the third one, which says you're amazing, is going to go onto the tag. And then I put the card onto a 5x7" card base, and then cut off any excess paper. And then I also die cut the tag again with white paper and glued this tag onto the white tag. And this die set also comes with a tiny little, decorative hole that goes around where the hole in the tag is. And I'm just going to glue that on the front and the back of the tag, which gives it a lovely finishing touch. And then I could always write my personalized message on the back of the tag there. And now that it's glued in place, you can see the finished tag and card with the soft autumn colors. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video inspiring. If you haven't already, please subscribe so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. Have a crafty day!